All right, hello everyone. Welcome to ABX for Sales, getting into strategic prospecting. We have Carmel Tavori with us, Sales Development Manager at DEMANDBASE, and Sean McGee, Senior Sales Development Manager at DEMANDBASE. We have a lot of great examples and insight lined up for you, and that's it for my role. I'll let them take it from here. But if you have questions throughout, Carmel and Sean said, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll interrupt them when it's a good time, and they can answer it throughout the session instead of saving all that for the very end. We also have a couple of poll questions to kind of get a sense of where everybody's at. So besides that, it's the Sean and Carmel show. We'll go ahead and get started.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, we're really excited today to walk through strategic prospecting and using ABX for sales to drive efficiency and ultimately generate more pipeline for your sales teams. For today's call, we've prepared a few slides around challenges that we're facing as salespeople in our new reality today, how to adjust and adapt to those challenges through effective prioritization, how to strategically prospect and build high-performing teams using those prioritization methods, and then wrapping it up at the very end with reports and real-life examples that ultimately will drive success for your sales teams. So we want to start off here with a quick poll and really put it out there. Do you feel like you have a good grasp of what ABM is in a sales context? And I'll let it hang out there for a couple seconds here. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and move along here. It's good to see that a few of you are at least very familiar with account-based marketing, or what we like to call account-based experience. I've been in the space now for roughly 4 years now and have chatted with a ton of different prospects, a ton of different contacts. And it's always funny to hear that everyone has their own definition of what account-based marketing or account-based experience is. So I wanted to include this slide here to level set with everyone and really simplify it as best as we could. ABX is highly focused B2B sales and marketing. It's a highly coordinated way to market and sell to prospects and current customers, making sure that your sales and your marketing teams are aligned, you're focused on the right accounts, and you're coordinating your efforts to those accounts. It's also a great path forward towards achieving greater efficiency on your sales teams, improving conversion rates at each stage of the funnel, making sure that you're focusing on accounts that are most likely going to buy and making the most out of your day-to-day. And finally, wrapping it up here, it's a great way to quantify and measure sales and marketing activities and successes by tying it to business outcomes. So business outcomes like engagement, pipeline generation, or revenue, or even all three. So again, most simplistic form here, highly focused B2B sales and marketing. And I think it's more important than ever to have a good ABX strategy in place, because really selling right now in this current environment is just plain harder than it's ever been before. And I think a lot of you can agree with me on that, where the traditional buying process or the buyer journey of someone coming to your website, going to one of your contact me or demo request pages, raising their hand, wanting to talk to a salesperson and starting the deal there. It's pretty rare right now, and it's a little bit of an outdated system. Nowadays, buyers are doing a lot of their research anonymously. They're doing research off of your website related to some of your content. They're looking at articles, news sources. Heck, they're even looking at some of your competitors as well. And when they do visit your website, they don't want to talk to a salesperson. They don't want to raise their hand. They don't want to fill out a form. They want to do it on their own. And now it's not just one person doing the research. Buying committees can now be 5, 10, even 15 people at a time. On top of that, it's getting just increasingly harder to reach your buyers with a timely and relevant message. Buyers don't want to pick up the phone. They don't want to talk to a salesperson. Their inboxes are getting cluttered with hundreds and hundreds of messages every single day. And as a salesperson, it's really hard for us to reach them with a timely and relevant message. So all of these different factors are really leading to sales reps barely hitting quota. About 53% of sales reps are currently meeting or just exceeding their quotas. And when they are on a call with a decision maker, about 82% of those decision makers think that those sales reps are unprepared. They're not coming into the conversation with a well thought out message. They're not displaying relevant content to that buyer. And all of those things are ultimately leading to a longer sales process, about a 22% increase in sales cycles from 5 years ago, meaning that deals are taking a lot longer to close. It's harder to close them. And again, this is the new reality that we're all facing as salespeople. It's just getting increasingly harder every single day. So I'm going to hand it over to Carmel here and discuss ways where we're adapting and where we can adjust through effective prioritization.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Hi, everyone. Okay, so before we get into kind of the nitty-gritty, how can we get stronger? How can we adapt? Let's talk about, why being effective with our prioritization even matters, and kind of the impact that this can have on your own sales team and just your business in general. So in this example, we actually, and Sean, feel free to build out the slide, but so we actually ran an internal study at DEMANDBASE, and we wanted to see, we understood that it mattered to be prioritized with the accounts we were going after, but we wanted to understand, what impact does this really have on our day-to-day and on our actual team itself? And so what we actually found in the study that we ran was that our SDRs were actually saving about 5 or more hours of work per week. And so just to show you how this actually scales out and can be replicated and impactful in your own world, let's say, for example, we'll use general numbers here, but let's say we have an SDR that's making 100K in a year. Now, we want to think about that in terms of how many weeks we have in a year, so 50 weeks per year, and an average of 40 hours of work per week, let's say. This boils down to that person making about $50 per hour. Now, if you take that $50 per hour and you multiply it by the amount of time saved, so multiply that 50 by 5 hours of work per week, times also the amount of weeks in a year, so times 50 weeks, and we multiply it by 12 SDRs. The reason we use 12 here is that just a general average number of SDR teams, or size of SDR teams, I should say. And we multiply all of that together, you're actually getting about 150K in savings. So not only are you saving your individual SDRs at least 5 hours of work per week, you're also saving more than the actual salary of an SDR. So you're saving money as well. And essentially you're adding another head to your team without physically bringing on a person. So ultimately you're saving money, your team is saving time, and you're effectively prioritizing the accounts that matter and really targeting the accounts that are going to drive the, optimal amount of pipeline generation. And so breaking that out a little bit more into the actual, how can we get there? So all successful account-based strategies begin with prioritizing the right accounts. And so we've built out a couple different things to help you ask yourself, are we looking at the right accounts right now? Do we have the right total addressable market? And are we reaching out to the accounts that are really in market? So things that you're going to want to ask yourself are, do these accounts fit into our ICP? Are these accounts that are, matching our business model and ultimately going to turn into business? In addition to that, you also want to ask yourself, are we using a predictive model right now to understand anonymous buying behavior and to really understand what accounts are in market right now and showing active buying signals? And then you also want to ask yourself, who is already engaged? So are there accounts that are downloading content, that are coming to your website, filling out forms, maybe coming, to webinars and downloading content? Those are things that you're going to want to be thinking about, because those are accounts that are showing you that they're engaged. And if you're not capitalizing on them already, you're definitely going to want to be prioritizing them in your outreach and making sure that your team is keeping those accounts top of mind. Now, let's talk about this in a way that's easy to remember. So at DEMANDBASE, we have this fun acronym called FIRE. Essentially, we want to help you set fire to your sales strategy. And so basically what this really means is an easy way to think about what accounts we need to prioritize. So the F in FIRE stands for fit. Again, going back to the accounts that you're going after, do they fit your ICP, and are they the right accounts to be targeting for your business? The next, we have the I, which stands for intent. And so just to make sure everybody's on the same page, when Sean and I are talking about intent through this presentation, we are referring to the anonymous buying behavior that's happening off of your website. So I want you to visualize, keywords and key phrases that matter to your business. Imagine if you knew basically when all of your accounts were researching those keywords and those key phrases. So being able to understand the interest in your products and or your competitors. Then we have the R. This just stands for relationship. Essentially understanding, is there any context or history that I, as a seller, need to be aware of with this account? Were they a previous customer? Have they spoken to us in the past? It's really important to come into conversations with accounts, understanding any previous conversations, just so that you can be targeted and human with your interaction and show that you've really done your preparation in speaking to that account. And then lastly, engagement, going back to that time spent with your company. Again, are these accounts coming to your website? Are they downloading content, going to webinars? Those are things that you're going to want to be thinking about as you kind of build out the effective prioritization of target accounts. And then we actually pair this with predictive analytics. So I spoke a little bit about that before as well. Essentially just understanding, are these accounts showing any behaviors right now that predict buying activity? And how can we as salespeople leverage that so that we're being very targeted and strategic in our approach? And then I'll pass it over to Sean again, who's going to go into a little bit more detail around how we take all of that and turn it into strategic prospecting.
Yeah, before we dive in here, we want to get a lay of the land and understand if you are currently using any intent data in your prospecting today. And I know it's a relatively new thing, so it's totally okay if you're not. Awesome. Give it a couple more seconds here. Cool. So moving on, with intent data, we're really building high-performing teams, and it all starts with strategic prospecting. And strategic prospecting begins with enabling your reps with the right data to make them successful and to make them efficient in their day-to-day efforts. Now, again, I think a lot of you can agree with me here that sales reps, to put it nicely, and I'm not trying to offend anyone here, they don't like change and they don't want to log into another platform. So if we can enable our reps by pushing that data into systems that they currently live in today, like Salesforce, it really enables them to answer questions like, what accounts should I be focusing on? Should I be focusing on accounts today, this week, this month, this quarter, and really planning out their game plan? Why should I be focusing on those accounts? Are they showing intent for some solutions that we care about? Are they reading articles related to some of our products? Or are they starting to look at some of our competitors? Again, all red flags and kind of insights that you would want to know as a salesperson. Also, it gives us an answer to the question, well, what should I say to these accounts? Well, if they're researching one of your solution sets, hey, why don't you send over an email regarding one of those solutions with a value prop, or put them into a sequence around that specific keyword. If they're researching one of your competitors, well, throw some competitive differentiators out there, throw a little takedown message out there, and get some FUD in front of the prospect. And then finally, it answers the question of, okay, I know what accounts to focus on, why, and what to say, but when do I follow up? And that's where intent is super useful for a sales rep, especially those that have a larger territory, where we can layer on that intent data onto a sales rep's territory and understand exactly where each account is in their own buyer's journey. Meaning your reps will be able to see, hey, this account is showing a lot of intent, they're showing a lot of engagement, and they're looking at our competitors. This would be a great account of ours to focus on, really spend the majority of your time on, get very personalized with them, put them into a high touch sequence, and even send them a direct mail to try and open up the door. Again, all efforts that's very concentrated, because you know that these accounts are actively showing buying interest and intent. On the flip side of that, there are going to be accounts where they're not showing any intent at all or any engagement. And those are the accounts that as salespeople, we really don't want to spend our time on, right? It doesn't make sense for us to go after that account or spin our wheels on them. So we're being a little bit more efficient in what accounts we're targeting and what accounts we're going after. In the following slides, Carmel is going to dive into a few more of these reports in more detail, but I did want to highlight here another benefit of using intent data is understanding when accounts are starting to re-engage, meaning you've had a close lost opportunity with this account, maybe in the last 6, 9, or 12 months, and that account didn't move forward, maybe due to budget, timing, competitors, whatever it may be. But with intent data, you're able to see when that account is starting to re-engage with you. So if you've lost that opportunity 9 months ago, but in the last week or the last month, you've noticed a recent uptick in engagement from that specific account, that is a great indication that your reps should be going after that account, sending a simple, hey, reconnecting email. We spoke 9 months ago. Here's what's changed. Wanted to see if whatever is back on your radar. Very, very easy, and allows you to kind of prioritize the right accounts at the right time. Going to hand it over here to Carmel again to walk through some of these reports in more detail and actually share how our team uses some of them in our day-to-day.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's jump into some of these reports. So, in this first one, accounts by journey stage, I know Sean just touched on it a little bit, but basically what we really want to understand is where are our accounts right now in their specific buyer's journey. And so, from a sales perspective and sales development area, we really want to, and also from a leadership standpoint, we want to be coaching our team to focus on the accounts that are ready to buy right now and really focusing on that pre-opportunity stage. So you might have accounts that are already in their opportunity stages, their customers, and perhaps you want to focus on those from maybe a cross-sell or upsell area. But this report helps us stay very focused on those net new pre-opportunity staged accounts. So the way that we kind of dish this out is we'll break the accounts down by journey stage, and then we'll also understand kind of what is their engagement. And that way our team can then go after them, understanding that they don't need to focus on the other accounts. They don't need to waste their time on somebody that's, in a cycle already, or, is a customer. They can really just focus their energy on those net new opportunities and really just hone in on the accounts that are ready to buy from us. Now, in this next report, the hot accounts. So this one, we leverage a couple different things from DEMANDBASE to kind of build this out and help our team be really prioritized in their outreach. So essentially what this report will look at for us is how engaged the account is from a known perspective. So how many people are engaging with content, their website, researching different things, looking at our products and solutions. It will also take into account predictive scoring. So we will look at things like, how likely is this account to turn into an opportunity within the next 30 days? You'll see on the left-hand side, there's engagement minutes and then pipeline predict score. That tells us how likely an account is to become an opportunity in 30 days. We'll look at how qualified the account is to our business. We will look at their web traffic engagement, how much they came to our site, and we'll look at things like those high intent keywords. So what relevant keywords to DEMANDBASE are they researching in the last month that might be an indication of specific buying interest? So that's definitely one that we're using a lot. We see a lot of success with this just because it's very, very targeted and it takes the guesswork out for our team. As Sean mentioned before, it answers those questions of why am I reaching out to this account? When do I reach out to them? Who do I reach out to? It's a very easy way for them to just see this in our CRM where they're already working day to day and then just capitalize on those opportunities based on what's populating in the report. Then in this next slide, this report that I'm about to talk to, the high intent accounts, actually tees up our next section really well. So this one specifically dives into kind of this topic of research that's happening around keywords and phrases that matter to your business. So, if I think about it from a demand-based standpoint, I'm going to be wanting to understand, are there accounts that are researching account-based marketing, account-based experience, different things like that that matter to us? The reason this is really impactful is because by leveraging intent, you can very strategically prospect the people that you want to reach out to. So you're not just handing your sales reps an interested account and saying, hey, this account looks like they're interested and ready to buy. With an intent report, you are specifically pointing your sales reps and your sales development reps in the direction of you should look for these specific buyers that are going to make a buying decision on this relevant keyword. So again, just really taking it to the next level, being able to be targeted in your approach and helping our teams understand, if I have this interested account right now, I don't have to guess what stakeholders I want to reach out to. I can infer that if they're researching around these specific keywords, that's where the buying initiative is living right now. And that's the team that I need to be reaching out to at this account to get a buying conversation going. So in the next few slides, Sean has a couple different examples just to show you how we've actually built that out here at DEMANDBASE. But I would say out of all the reports we're using, I think Sean and I can agree that those would be the three that we've seen the most success with.
I was on mute. Sorry about that. So yeah, I want to discuss how to use this intent data to be a little bit more strategic and actually see it in action and streamline activities from your sales reps. So this is a pretty bare bones skeleton example here, but it's a great way of showcasing and explaining that if you get an alert from one of your target accounts that they are showing high offsite intent for one of your high value keywords, meaning that they are reading some articles related to that keyword, looking at news sources, looking at some competitive stuff, this is an alert that'll be pushed to them. And if you get that alert, you want to take advantage of it and strike while the iron is hot. You know that account is actively showing buying intent, and you know that they're showing buying intent for that specific solution set or that specific keyword. So go ahead, send over an email to them. Hey, knowing that you're responsible for whatever they're responsible for related to that keyword, wanted to see if that exact intent keyword is on your radar right now. You'd include a simple value prop related to that value keyword and ultimately just wrap it up with a quick call to action. Again, very simple. You know the account is showing intent. You know what they're looking for. You can easily tailor that message to them and send them a timely and relevant message that'll get their interest and kind of cut through that noise and make it to their inbox. You can also create multiple emails around this keyword and have a sequence built out. So that way you have multiple value props lined up and ready to go, just in case this first email doesn't hit. Then, oopsies. The next example here is using intent and an alert for if an account is showing competitive intent. So if you get that indication that one of your target accounts is showing intent for one of your competitors, obviously as salespeople, we want to get in front of that, beat the competition, and throw our hat in the ring as well and get that other competitor out of there. So in this example, we're saying, hey, I noticed your role and wanted to share how we're helping a few other companies in your space, and then showcasing a few competitive differentiators or a few competitive takedowns related to your value prop. This is just throwing some initial differentiators out there, getting in the mind of your prospect, and ultimately getting you on the line with them before they've evaluated your competitor, or throwing in some additional differentiators earlier on in the buyer's cycle. I did want to open it up here for any questions before we kind of move on.
I can check the chat for us too. It looks like all our chat questions were answered. But
Cool. Well, that is all we have today. I want to cover a few of the takeaways that we really discussed. Sales is just increasingly harder than it's ever been before, right? People are remote. They don't want to talk to salespeople, and that seems to be the case year after year. And they're doing a lot of their research anonymously, meaning they're not filling out a form, they're not raising their hand. To combat that and adjust to that, an ABX strategy is very important right now, and prioritizing can really save your team time and money, and ultimately, drive more pipeline for your sales teams. And then using the intent and the insights available to enable your sales reps to be more effective, to be more strategic, and ultimately, drive more revenue for your company. So with that, I think we're going to end it there, and we'd love to open up the floor to any questions that you guys may have regarding intent, how to use it, and how to enable your sales teams.
Yeah, we definitely still have time. So if anybody has questions, don't be shy. We're happy to answer.
Awesome. Well, still got a little bit of time. We can definitely feel free to take this offline, send us a message on LinkedIn, and happy to set up additional conversations as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everyone.